Alright, so I'm making this video because I'm so pissed off at YouTube for posting wrong ass fucking videos about the decarboxylation of cannabis. This is the decarboxylation of cannabis right here. It doesn't happen in the oven. Drying happens in the oven when your weed is too wet, or if you're going to make an oil compound that requires zero water. So this is one of my methods. So you take coconut oil, the stuff that's solid at room temperature or solid under 98 degrees, and you just take, like if you want to make gummies, so gummies you take 2/3, 3/4 cup, maybe up to a cup to make your gummies, and you throw it in here and you put it on top of water. And one of the magical things about decarboxylation is that, it only requires the boiling point of water. So if your water is boiling, you're decarboxylating. If your weed is too wet, then yeah, you should dry it off in the oven first, but god damn it, there's no point. You can't decarboxylate twice. And so, even though you see the water boiling, one thing you can look at, so you take a scoop of your oil, are there carboxylation bubbles coming off of the oil. So if you take scoops off your oil and you don't see any present bubbling of the oil itself from the plant material, you're completely decarboxylated. So this can take anywhere from 1 hour depending on the quantity. Like if you're doing this in a crock pot, sure, you can let it sit for 8 hours or whatever, and you put your oil in. But first, if you're using 100% oil, rather than this is, using the boiling point of water to decarboxylate. But if you're doing it in a crock pot, I do recommend using the oven, but only to extract the H2O molecules from your plant material so that you don't have H2O that ends up steaming out and becoming a solid. And because oil floats on top of water, then there's no point in dealing with that, because then, there's many ways to deal. I've done it the oil method of where you just boil it in water for an hour, and you put it in a jar filled with oil, and you let it sit under a lid and steam it for an hour. This also works. It's also a decarboxylation process, and then you still have to filter it afterwards. So the reason I like the butter is it's solid at room temperature, and the reason I like coconut oil is because it's solid at room temperature. You don't need to buy a separatory funnel. I'll show you the separatory funnel method probably in another video, because I'm gonna have to go dig out my stuff, and I can do the same thing with this while it's hot. While it's hot, the oil is a liquid, but when it's cold, it's solid. This is the reason I like it. You throw this shit in the freezer, and you can filter it, because basically what I do is I'll just boil this down until there's very little water left in there. You scrape in there, because it's already done after 1 hour, but all you're doing at this point is like waiting for enough of the water to evaporate so that it'll fit in your freezer friendly device, or you take a let's see what we got here. So you take a nice sieve right like this. That's kind of why I like this type of thing. So it's not going to look very pretty here. I don't have any way to hold my camera, but I ended up right here. I'm probably gonna get oil and shit all over my camera, but you know. So this is decarboxylation 101. I turned it off. It's been on an hour and 40 minutes. So, as long as I don't overfill the glass, everything's all good. Leaning against my teapot a little further away, so a lot of the brown, that's where a lot of the chlorophyll ends up. So if you want to make extracts from the extract of the extract, you feel free to do so. The biggest problem though is doing it this way is, like, you know, everything over this line, when I throw it in the freezer, within like 20 minutes it's going to be a hockey puck. And then I can just grab it out and the water separates nice and evenly away from it. Same thing with butter. But you can also use what's called a separatory funnel. I'll show you what that is. And it's a nice water and oil extraction device.